Good evening. Welcome to tonight. My name is Kwabena. I want to share with you what I term as finance, assets and liabilities. Assets and liabilities. Our financial success in this life, our financial freedom, does not just happen. Most people will start to work actively after, say, 20 years of their lives. And then we will work. And if you happen to work for institutions that rush people into retirement, maybe around 60, 65, they rush you into retirement. So, maybe you start to work around 20 years, 25, 30. From 30 to 60, 65, you just have about 30 years or 35 years to work. And within that work, it is assumed that you'll be able to live a life, enjoy your life, and hopefully when you're old, you will have some money to take care of yourself, take care of the things that are important to you, and take care of the things that you have to take care of before you leave this earth. So if they rush you to retire around 65 years, then some organizations will assume the duty of helping you and paying you till maybe you die. Our financial success, our financial freedom is one of the most important things that we look at in life. If you look at humans, a lot of us are, the things that are important to us, you see that family is important to us, relationships, finance is part of it, and religion is important to people, and making meaningful life is important to people. But every one of them, the successes that we see, the progress that we see, largely depend on the kind of understanding, the kind of knowledge that we have in them. And finance is one of them. What you call success, what the poor people call asset, is really different from what the people who have been able to make some kind of money, that they don't have to worry so much about not having enough to eat, not having enough to take care of themselves, not having enough to worry so much in life. Those people, what they call asset, and what the poor or those who worry about money all their lives call asset, are entirely different. And what they call liability and what the others call liability are entirely different. And so if you look at poor countries, poor people, the things that poor people call asset, poor countries pay attention to, are largely different from the things that rich countries pay attention to. I am more interested in the personal level. I'm more interested in myself being able to build something over the life that I have, or yourself being able to build something over the life that you have. Now, one of the things that usually beat us is that if we don't get the right information early, we make a lot of mistakes, and we waste a lot of resources, and we waste a lot of time. And so I think that there is a financial knowledge around the world, in our country, that only keeps people to just manage the little that they have. And if you happen to be talking to some of these people who have gone to school, who work with financial institutions, and they seem to know a lot of financial jargons, they know the terms to work for financial institutions, but very few of them have practiced those terms and the kind of knowledge that they have to create some kind of financial leverage beyond them working to be paid monthly. And so every terminology they know, every technicality they know, but they have not been able to practice them, such that they can say that I'm not going to work for the next 3 years, 4 years, and I'm going to be fine. And so when you are talking to somebody like that, his explanation of finances, and the one who has been able to create finances, a lot of it, will be entirely different. So we get to listen. We get a lot of the experts that we listen to, those who are talking on radio and those who are teaching people. Very few of them have really used those theories, those philosophies to create wealth. A lot of them just work for institutions that, they work for banks, they work for investment companies, they work for government agencies, and they try to tell us what it means to be financially free and financially, what the things that the terminologies that they use. If you look at it, they are more for people who just have to hang in all their lives. Because if your financial knowledge is weak, you just hang in life like that. And your persuasion is built on your understanding of some of these things, and even the courage level that you express, the comfort level that you express, they all come from the kind of understanding that you have, and what whoever told you what asset is and what liability is. So if you're a typical guy and you start to work, you start, maybe you finish national service and you were fortunate to have had a job maybe in some institutions, and they start to pay you. Most people would right away start to buy a land, and they start to say that they want to build because they can pay rent. And for them, they think that when they build that house, it means that they have created some kind of asset. So it's a strategy that they copied from probably their father or their mother or the people around them. And so we all do that. Or you start to work and you save some money for a year or 2 or 6 months, and you go and buy Toyota Corolla or Toyota Camry, and you say that you are rich. Or you start to buy nice watches, nice phone, nice suit and tie, and you say that you are rich. And some people call those things asset. I have come to see that the people who are able to build a lot of assets financially, what gets their attention is so much different from the people who are not able to build as financial freedom or financial leverage. The people who build freedom are a bit more careful with what they put their money in and what they want to even call asset. You see, the whole financial information, the whole accounting system, they didn't develop it for you to get rich. They develop it so that when you become accountant, you can work for somebody's company and be paid salary. The information to make you rich, they didn't put it in accounting. So a lot of the confusions are coming from that area. So if my father builds a house, he calls it the Japadienie. So he has 3 children, 4 children, maybe 5 children, whatever number of children that he has, and he's able to build 4-bedroom house for over 10 years. He starts to build 1990 and he finishes the house is in 2000. He will call that house an asset. And he was being paid maybe 1,000 a month working for a government agency. His understanding of finance is very weak. And so his whole life, what he can rely on is the house that maybe he built and the contributions that the government made to the national insurance company for him, so that when he goes into retirement, he will have something. Now, to my father, you can't tell him that the house that he has built, or to my mother, the house that she has built, is not a jeopardy. It's not an asset. No. For her, it's an asset because everybody looks at it and it shows that she came and she lived and she was able to build a house. Now, the thing about it is that she has to work all her life, because when he started to get money, she only put it into something that people will see that she also came, but she didn't put into something to bring in money. And so an asset basically is something that you use your time, your energy, your resources to get, and that thing continues to bring you money. A liability, no matter how nice or no matter how ugly it is, if the thing continues to bring you money more than it takes money from you, basically then it becomes an asset. A liability is the one that is continuously taking money from you. without bringing anything. And so that's the basic form. So the very rich people, you see that all their life they spend their time to build on things that will bring them more money. They build things that will bring them more money. If you see that they are building a house, say the average person will start to save money to build a house, and when he lives in that house will never bring him any revenue all his life. But he's very comfortable with it, and you see that when they start to grow, when they hit 50, 60, they start to deteriorate. When the salary that when the work that they have, when the salary stops to come in, and when it stops to come in, they start to deteriorate. They start to go down because they did not use their life to build something that will continue to bring in money, even if they are not healthy, even if they cannot work. So the average person, the poor person, will spend all his energy or send all his money into something that will never bring money that even was put in. That thing will not be able to even bring back that money that was put in. But to the poor or to the average person, the person who has not studied money that much, it's a jeopardy, it's an asset. So he has a very nice house, and every year he puts a lot of money to maintain that house. He doesn't rent that house, he lives there alone. It is 3-bedroom house and it's well painted, and his lifestyle has gone down. But that's all the financial knowledge that he knows. And so asset brings in cash and liability takes away cash. Asset over time must bring in cash or must bring in something beneficial, something positive. And liability, especially if you're talking in terms of finances, and liability continues to take money from you. And so all of us, one of them, the best argument people put up is that I cannot continue to pay rent. I have to build my house, and your rent that you're paying is probably 500 Ghana cedis, and you need 300,000 to build a house. So you work in a bank, you go and take mortgage. Probably they take maybe if you're a staff, it's well reduced, so maybe they take 10%, 20% a year for you. They give you maybe 200,000. I don't know what they give you, and you think that because you have built your house, you have an asset. If the banks ask you, they would set that house back. So there's a knowledge that the average person has on money, and that is a major thing. That is a major thing. So our financial knowledge is either an asset or a liability. If it works to liberate us, it becomes an asset, the level of financial knowledge that we have. And if it works against us, it becomes a liability. And most people, it doesn't even matter the number of years or the kind of education that they have. When it comes to money, people have strong opinion, and they hardly will change it, especially when they come from that kind of background that the parents worked all their life for money. They never tried any business. What I've seen about most business people is that they are able to separate a lot of the wrong knowledge on money easily, quickly, because they know that if I have this money, I can put it here and multiply it quickly. So they get some sense. The people who work all their lives for salary, very few are able to understand what it means to use your time and your resources to build assets, and or what they are, because they like to keep up the standard with everybody. So when they are traveling, they have to buy first class ticket and they have to force themselves to go for holiday, even if they have to borrow. They have to live in a very nice house, even if it's on mortgage all their lives. They have to have a very nice car that they drive, which is on loan. They have access to get money, but they put those money into things that do not even bring money back, because they have weak understanding of what they call asset and what they call liability. And so when they are working, you see them very nice, well packaged, but they still even live in a lot of pressure, because they are always trying to keep up. They are always in the mode to let somebody understand that they have money, they have arrived. And usually they are the only people who know the situation. And the situation usually is not right, because their financial understanding on what they call asset is weak and what they call liability is weak. So they get money and they go to get a second degree in a course that they don't even like, because somebody must get them, somebody must see them that they also have a second degree, third degree, whatever. And so they have 20,000 Ghana cedis, 50,000 Ghana cedis. They are doing banking, then they go and do law and spend 30,000 to get law. And when they finish the law, they don't even know what to do with it. Because they don't understand the importance of having financial freedom. And so they think that they are going to work all their lives. And then when they get to 45, then when they get to 55, when they get to 60, and they start to experience health issues, they start to experience, career issues, they don't have that much built, which can continue to bring in money. And that time will be too late. Most of the time, by the time that you get to your 60, that you have not used all your 30 years of working, 40 years of working to build anything, you would have wasted all the opportunities that you had. You had money, but you were buying Land Cruisers, you were buying Pajero, you were working for government agency, you were a director there, and you were just enjoying, traveling everywhere. You forgot to build things that will bring in money because you had free access to a lot of wrong money. And so that is what makes people not be rich. Our understanding of what is asset and our understanding of what is called liability. Asset brings you money. Liability takes money from you. So your house that you live in, if you're the only one with your children, don't tell us that you have an asset. It's unless that you're able to build some apartment out of that house, you start to rent, and you're able to generate some revenue over time, which is able to pay for that apartment that you have built. Then you get into the positive cash flow. Then it becomes an asset. But you building 10-bedroom house that nobody lives in is no an asset. It's nowhere close to an asset. As a matter of fact, if you live in another country and you have built 3, 4, 5 bedrooms somewhere at Accra or in Kumasi or Sunyani or anywhere, that you're talking to your friends every day. So, me Ghana, me Ofie, me and if you're offers for the firma you have, they are not an asset. They are not asset. They are liability, because they call you to come and pay the electricity. They call you to come and clean there. They call you to, even if they take somebody to weed there, they call you to come and pay. So that house that you put money in continuously takes money from you. It cannot be called an asset. And don't tell us that to increase in value. What value? When you are in critical need of money and you have to sell the house, you will not get that value, that which the value of the house that they told you. If you need money today, because it's tough to convert a physical, house, real estate, you convert it into liquid quickly at the value that you think you have. When you are in critical need and there's a problem, you would have to sell it less than what you perceive to be the right value of that house. So liability takes money always from you. And your car, the nice car that you have that everybody say director, it's not an asset, it's a liability. It continues to depreciate. You have to buy fuel, you have to change the tires, you have to change the oil, you're changing everything. Even to the business, even to your business, the car really is not so much an asset until the car is able to do more, to get more revenue than what you're spending on it. So to the poor, to the way the world has structured the finances is just to keep a lot of people in darkness, especially those that they send to school. Because once they send you to school, you seem to understand that you know everything. And the people we have sent to school, they are the most ignorant when it comes to finances. They are the most ignorant. The ones who didn't go to school, who trade, their financial knowledge is far better than those who went to school and who are waiting for salary all the time. The financial knowledge is that weak, and they don't take the step that quickly. So they go to retirement and everything else is gone. And so our time is an asset. The time that we have every day is an asset. How you convert it, it's a blessing to have time. Now you can trade that time, especially if you're a young man and you are 20 years and you want to build some wealth, because you will not get to 60 just by chance and you are rich. Or you not get to 40 when you are 20 just by chance you're rich. Even lotto, you just have to stake it and hope that you win. And so it's a strategy, it's a deliberate attempt. It does not just happen. Finances your financial progress does not just happen. You have to work it with a strategy, and part of it is you knowing what asset you have and you building on them. So your time is an asset, especially if you use it rightly to get the right financial knowledge, to get the right portfolios, to get the right instrument that can help you to get financial freedom. And so if you know that you are going to be rich, or if you so desire to be rich, you work towards it. I am working towards it. It's not been easy. You build here, you fail here, you fall here, you keep falling, and you keep going. Because you don't want to be 70 years and you're begging people for anything. We are begging people for even what to eat. And not just like that, even now you're 70 or you're 40, you're 35. You don't want to sweat all your life Because if you're going to build your dream, it has to be financed. That dream will need finances. And your understanding of what you call, every one of us is getting money. Even if you are working for salary, you get money. That salary that you are getting, if you have clear definition of what an asset is and what liability is, over 10, 20 years, you'll be able to build something for ourselves. You'll be able to build something for ourselves. Because let's say you get money. The decisions that you are making with that money that you get, the best decision is that money that is coming in. How can you invest that money into something that will also bring in money? Then that money becomes an asset. But if you lock that money into something that is not going to bring you any money, it's just showmanship. You are just telling people that you are rich, you are buying big houses, you are living in a big house, and only you are impressed that you have a big house. Nobody really cares the house that you have, except that they call you director. They will come and ask you for money anyway. Or you buy a big house, a big car, your children go to a very expensive school, and you are always at red. You're not able to even save 2%, 10%, 5% of the revenue that comes to you. You are not building an asset. You are just building a whole life, which is liability. And that life will catch up with you. And so your passion, your talent, they are all assets. How you use them to build the life that you want is your decision. Business, investment, real estate, if you understand it, stock, if you understand it, they will help you to build a good financial life, financial portfolio. So you talk to people who know this and you build it. Don't act as if they are not important. They're important. You only think they're not important because probably you're living only for yourself. And even that, when you get to a point where you start to meet some difficulties in life and you know that people have no idea, and then the next minute they diagnose them with some kind of dangerous disease and they have to spend maybe every day 1,000 cedis for medication. Whatever you have saved is gone. So even no matter how much they pay you, now the salary is not coming in, and you just have a little save. Danger. Or maybe somebody you love so much is in critical situation, you have to help them. That's why all of us would have to, spend our life trying to build something for ourselves. If you can build a business, you can build something that can get you revenue beyond business. You can put some money in some kind of investment. You have to educate yourself. That's why your number one asset when it comes to finances is your financial education. The next one will be the kind of portfolios, the kind of tools, the kind of things that you can use to bring in more revenue. And business is number one. Business is number one. If you build your skills to how to run a business, you can easily multiply any money that comes to you. Some people may not want business, but they want investment. Some people would want to own some buildings that they can rent. They can do anything with to bring in money. Some people would want to go and buy some stock. The thing is that you just have to know that whatever money comes to you that you are putting in anything, you are putting into something that is an asset. Something that will continue to generate revenue for you. Don't be so much happy spending money on things that when the money goes, it doesn't come back. There are a lot of things that we put money in and that money will never come back. It's lost forever. So you can be young and still think as very old, because a lot of people think very old anyway. They think very old. They think that their salary is the best thing that happened to them. They think that the car that they drive is very, that's the best thing that happened to them. They show it to their friends. The house that they think that they have built is an asset. You are lying to yourself. The difference between your house and the one who you own a house, but the difference between you and the one who is renting, there's no difference. So it's the same. There's no difference. Even that one who is renting probably is better, because you always get a place to rent, but you have locked capital, 300,000, 500,000 in a house, and you work for you work for 5,000 a month. Why don't you take that 300,000 and make it become 1 million? Make it become 2 million. Make it become 10 million. Then you can say that I'm not going to work anymore. I'm going to build something for myself. But if you have just put all your money into a house, when they threaten to sack you, you are scared. You are always not confident, because you don't know what is going to happen. Somebody's mistakes in where you work, the next minute you're fired. Then you don't know what to do. And all you have is what you call an asset. That house will never pay you. If the salary is not coming in that house, you have to rent it in order to get revenue. And so the poor man is not the one who can find food. Sometimes they wear suit, they wear tie, they are well educated, but their mindset is that poor. Their mindset is that poor. So if you are the one who is very happy, that you have a house and you tell people that you've been able to build a house, it's because you're coming from a very poor background. And probably nobody owned a house. And so all your life, your mother has been telling you, when are you going to build a house? And when you finish building that house, you're very much happy. That means so much. But it doesn't make you different from anybody who didn't build a house. Because when there is an issue, that house will not save you. That house will not mean anything. Unless you build those houses and rent them and they bring you revenue. And so the people who are able to build some kind of financial wealth, they understand these things. That's why they are not quick to impress. If you meet a very well-educated, rich person, you may not even assume that they are rich, because the understanding and the way they look at life is so much different. They have a lot of money, and they are not the one riding the best of cars. They have a lot of money, and if you look at the percentage that they have used to build any house, even if you think those houses are very nice, it's just a little percentage, because the concentration is on always bringing in a lot of revenue. So they are building farms, they are building companies, they are building portfolios. They are always doing things that will bring in revenue. Now, the other guy he has a very weak financial knowledge, who does not know what a liability is, what an asset is the one who's always quick to impress people, tell people that, oh, me so my toy, I also have this. You are the one showing people. You are just trying to tell people that you are rich. And the thing is that the very rich, when they see those who are very rich, they know. And when they see those who are acting to be rich, because there's difference between you acting to be rich and you having the wealth itself. Because when you have the wealth itself, you are not under pressure. You are not under pressure. You look at life very differently. You always look at, what can I add more to bring in more revenue? What can I add more to bring in more revenue? So if I'm going to build that house, I do a lot of calculation to know that by the time that I finish building that house, I still have a lot of capital to invest somewhere. I'm not going to use everything to build that house and go and live in and suffer all my life. And so there's a huge difference between those who know this and practice it and those who don't know. So your private car is not an asset though. It's not an asset. If your bank people told you that it's an asset, go and value it and we'll give you a loan. It's not an asset. Don't believe it. That car is always, you are maintaining that car every month. How much do you put in that car? It's taking money from you. So if it's, let's face it, it's taking money every day. You are maintaining, you're changing the oil. Somebody will smash you. You go and repair it. You're just happy. Well, when you live in that car, And some people can even buy a moderate car and have money to go and build things that to bring in more revenue. But because their financial education, their financial understanding is not that solid, they want to impress people. They want to impress people. So your financial understanding, your financial knowledge can be a liability on you. And you can build all kind of arguments around it, and almost all the time. Because if you come from a poor background and nobody taught you this, you're not just going to know it. Unless you start to study it, you start to learn, you start to study people who are doing something, and then you will see that you don't know. But if you are from a poor background, if your parents didn't build something significant from scratch, if they didn't build businesses and they just sent you to school, no school is teaching you anything about finances. No school is teaching you how to become a millionaire. No school is teaching you how to have financial freedom. The best your teacher will teach you is to become, somebody prominent in society who can work all their lives for money, and not to study how to create wealth. Well, creating wealth is a whole different thing, and most of the people who taught us in school don't even know it. They have no idea what it is. And so sometimes your relationships will be asset or will be liability. If you have people who are always building wealth in your relationship and you listen to them, your relationship becomes an asset. But if you have people who are always putting pressure on you to do what they are also doing, which is not taking them anywhere, you have a lot of money every week, you are celebrating, you're throwing party, and you are the one going to work every morning. Sometimes you're tired, you still have to go, and the little money that you have, you're throwing party everywhere. That relationship is a liability on you. And sometimes our philosophy, our belief system, if you believe that God is the one going to make you rich, and you are praying every day in Sunday churches, that is a liability. That is a liability. That belief system is a liability to be poor. If you believe that giving in church will make you rich, that belief system is is a liability. Give in church if you have to, but that giving is not going to make you a millionaire. That giving is not going to make you financially free. Okay, so it's the poor or the weak or the one who's looking for magic, who believes that once his pastor prayed for him or that malam prayed for him, that he will be rich, or they saw prophecy and told you that you'll be a rich man, and which they always tell people, they don't mean anything. The very people who control a lot of wealth in this life, nobody told them that they were going to be rich. It's just a system, just an understanding. They work, they have a plan, and it starts to come in. And so your belief system, your philosophy can be a liability. And by the time you see it, you are old. Because you're waiting for somebody to take care of you. When you're waiting for somebody to take care of you, that belief system is a liability. When you're always looking for help, you're always begging somebody, instead of you taking responsibility and taking risk. Because if you're going to win financially, you just have to lay everything there and continue to fight. And sometimes you will lose everything. But if you don't give up, you start to get sense. So because the people who have built anything in this life, especially financial wealth, they understood that you have to have an asset. And one of the things that they used their time to fight to have was a business, was an investment, was something which was always bringing in the money. So they traded that time, they traded that passion, they traded that gift, they traded that, that knowledge to build something which will bring in more. And so that thing that they built became an asset. Okay, the poor man does not believe that. The poor man is always looking for help. The poor man is always blaming somebody who didn't help him. And that belief, that understanding, that knowledge is a liability. It's a liability. And so if you're young, you may not even pay attention to it. But ask anybody who's around 60, 70. They will tell you. And if they have wealth, they will tell you what they did rightly. I'm not talking of those who stole it. I'm talking of those who built it. If you see somebody who built wealth, ask them how many years it took them to build it. Ask them the things that they saw differently from their colleagues. Ask them. Some of them built cocoa farms. Some of them built a lot of things that their colleagues never paid attention to. Because if you want to build an asset, it takes a bit of sacrifice. So if you see anybody struggling financially and they are old, it's because their understanding of finance, what they call liability and what they call asset, was weak. Sometimes you meet somebody and say, this man was very rich, this man had his time. Why? What did you use the money to build? You used the money to build things that were not going to grow the money. The things that wasted the money, the resources, everything. And so if you don't understand what an asset is, what a liability is, and you still hope that you become rich, you're deceiving yourself. And the quality of your understanding of what these things are will show the kind of patience that you have and the kind of skills that you will need to build what an asset is, or what asset that you think you have. So if you're the one praying and taking prophecies and going to malams and everywhere and say that you'll be rich, and you don't even understand the difference between these things, you are deceiving yourself. It's never true. You are not going to be rich. And it's not luck. Luck doesn't get anybody rich. People who plan and work towards it become rich. I don't think that anything just happens in this life. If somebody has money more than you, they worked it. I'm not talking of those who went into politics or those who are taking people free money. I'm talking of people who worked it, had a plan to work it. If you have a good plan and they give you 100,000 cedis and you want to be wealthy, you will not use that money to go and buy Range Rover. You have 100,000, or you're able to save 100,000. If you have a plan to become a millionaire, or to have 10 million in the next 10 years, and you have 100,000 cedis now, maybe you had a contract, maybe you built a business, maybe you did something and you have that 100,000 cedis now, and you don't owe anybody, and you want to grow that money, I can bet you will not put that money to build a house. because you have a target. You want to raise 10 million within the next 10 years, which means you have to raise 1 million every year. You start to think, your mind will start to think. I have 100,000 now. This is 2018. By 2028, I want to have 10 million. That I didn't steal from anybody, that I didn't cheat from anybody. So I want to grow that 100,000. I can tell you that if you have that kind of thinking, you will not use that money to build a house. You will not use that money to buy a car. You will not use that money to go and do wedding. You will not use that money to buy a nice suit and shirt. You will not even use that money to go and give to church. No. You have a plan. Say, okay, 100,000. What do I do to make sure that the next 10 years, that 100,000 is 10 million? You start to think. Maybe I have to come out with an investment plan. Maybe I have to come out with a business plan. Maybe I have to come out with this. You start to think. Your mind is different because now you want to see, because it will only take you your understanding of what an asset is to grow that money from 100,000 to 10 million. Now the other guy who does not know anything, whose natural tendency is to dissipate and spend money, when he has the 100,000, when he's able to accumulate the 100,000, you know what he will do? Just go and put it in the land, or buy a car, or take a woman, and the 100,000 is gone in a minute. That man will never get to build any wealth which is close to 10 million cedis in the next 10 years. He will not be able, because every money that will come, he will still use it. He doesn't even have that plan. And so when you set a target, you start to have how to separate the liability from the asset. That's why when people are building things, they know they have a plan for the money, because they want to multiply the money. They want to grow that money. If you don't have any plan and you get money, you will never multiply it. You don't even have a target. And some of them will even tell you that, but I don't want to be rich. I don't need to be rich. Who told you that you don't want to be rich? You are just afraid to be rich, or you don't know how to be rich. If you knew it, you would do it. It's not because you don't want to be rich. It's because you don't know it, or because you're selfish. You think only of your wife and your children. You don't think of what that 10 million can do to build something for somebody. How many problems that you can solve in our country if you had about 1,000 people who had 10 million and who had good heart to make sure that our people are helped. And so when you hear somebody talk like that, it means that they are just selfish people. But it's all our responsibility, because you cannot fight poverty with poverty. You fight poverty with what? By creating prosperity. And you cannot create prosperity when you don't know the difference between an asset and liability. So, my name is Kwabena. I am talking about finance, and we are saying that you can be financially free. You can be financially wealthy just by accident. It doesn't happen like that. And one of the things that, if you want to be financially free, you will know is that you just have to have a plan and work towards it. And you have to be patient. And one of the things that some of the things that you would want to know will be what you call asset and what you call liability. And my argument is that the things that they taught you in accounting in the university or in the secondary school that they call asset was not meant to make you rich. Was meant to make you accountant and work for somebody. There's nothing wrong working for somebody. But if you want to be rich, the man who you are working for, his understanding of what an asset is not as the one who is doing the accounting in the business. So the accountant will be telling you, we have this kind of asset in the business, we have this kind of liability in the business. They don't know how to create the asset. What I'm talking now is, how do you create the asset yourself? And you have to get proper understanding of what they call asset. What the rich call asset is different from what the poor people call asset. What the rich call liability is so much different from what the poor man calls liability. When a poor man buys a car, he thinks that he has survived, he has rich somewhere. That's why he's poor. And the poor man is the one who has very limited revenue inflows. So he's poor because he doesn't have a lot of revenue coming in. He has very limited assets, because he didn't trade his time, his passion, his gift, his energy, his knowledge to create a lot of revenue, a lot of avenues for revenue. So all his life he just worked to get just salary one, and that pay is not even good, so he will be poor. Now the rich one knows what to create, so he's using his knowledge, his time, his energy, everything that he has to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 100 avenues to bring him money. And those things that are bringing him money more than what they take out, they are the asset. So the rich people in this world, they have more of the asset. That's why they are rich. Now the poor people have very few or none. That's why they are poor. So they have a lot of things taking money from their pocket all the time. So their children's school fees is taking, the rent is taking, the car is taking money from them, the church is taking money from them, the funeral, the insurance is taking money from them. Everything is taking money from them. They buy shoe every weekend, they buy clothes every weekend, they watch TV and throw party, and they still hope that they will be rich. Don't believe it. It's never true. You are not going to be rich. You are not going to be rich unless you decide to know the difference between liability and asset, and you start to create your own assets. And creating asset is no joke. You have to be tough, you have to be controversial, you have to be disciplined, you have to be patient. And a lot of people don't want to go through that. So a lot of people are waiting for manna from heaven to change their financial situation. So study the asset. Sometimes one of the things that will make you not rich all your life is your eagerness and your quickness to own a house. One of the things, or to own a car. Most people, those who are not stealing money, if you're going to create wealth out of your salary, and you get money and you go and put it in a house, in a land that you're not going to be able to sell or rent, you will never be rich. You only pray to God that He will make you rich. It will not happen. If you pray to God to make you rich, He will give you ideas, give you wisdom. And one of the wisdom He will give you is that this is an asset and this is a liability. So the decision is yours. If you get the money, if you have patience and you start to build a business, you know that if you build a business to a level, the business becomes an asset. The business starts to bring in more money. Make no mistake about it. Money runs this world. So it's deceptive for you to think that you can only live on your salary. If you happen to marry and you have children, they will go to school. You want them to go to a good school. They will get sick. You want them to go to. You don't want your wife to get to the hospital and you're begging people you want the life. You go to the hospital and your very survival is dependent on the benevolence of your friends, because you didn't know what an asset is, or you trivialize it. You thought that it will never happen to you. So if you're going to do something, you have got to sit down and plan. Because the other day you were 20 years, now you're 30. 10 years difference. If somebody told you that use 10 years to build an asset, and the asset, I can tell you, some of it is business. Business that is bringing you money. Some of it will be, some people go into the stock market and study and start to buy shares, and that money that they use to buy the shares can grow. Some of them will be owning properties, maybe buying some land somewhere, buying some whatever, building a house somewhere. You have to decide, and you have to know that once you have some money, that money can go into an asset or that money can go into a liability. The decision is yours, and the quality of that decision is just depending on what you call an asset and what you're building, because you are either building an asset all your life or you're building a liability. There's no in between. And the asset that you are building will give you freedom, will give you leverage, will give you the power to live the life that you want. If you continue to spend all your life to build liabilities, party, your house, your car, shares, traveling around the world, changing one job from the other, depending on one source of revenue, which is salary, no problem. Without building anything for yourself. Cheating, lying, they are all liabilities. Liabilities shrink, and they shrink at a point where you need them crucially. They shrink. When you needed the money, that's why the money will not be there, because you wasted it. But if you start to build assets, starting is difficult. After a while, it opens up. And when you so need a little, that's where the asset will be bringing you more. So it's a decision. Your financial success is nobody's business. It's yours. Mine is mine. But until we know what it takes to build financial freedom, and we define the terms well, it will elude us. So all life you work for it. And working to get salary is not the magic to financial freedom. No, it's when you get the money, what do you use the money for? That is where you start to build wealth for yourself and for your family and for everybody in between. So if you get money and you lock them in things that will never multiply, what you're building is that you're building a liability. So you buy a nice house, nice car, nice shirt, and you think that means that you're successful. That's a lie. You're not successful. You just don't know how to use money well, how to build an asset, and not to focus on building liabilities. And those are the things so those of us who come from this part of the world, and majority of the world people who struggle financially, and a lot of people in this world, not only in Africa. The only thing is that Africa, we have a lot. Because a lot of people in Africa really have some avenues of getting money. The problem is that they lock those monies in things that don't grow the money. They lock those monies because the society has placed a lot of importance on things that are not asset. We place a lot of importance on those things. If you're a young man, you start to build a business. If you don't take care, they will put so much pressure on you to go and buy a car, to go and buy this, to go and buy this. And you know that those things, you don't even need them. But the society will press you so much that you are working, you are receiving 1,000 Ghana cedis a month, and you are going to have a wedding which is 40,000, 30,000. Are you crazy? Did you do the mathematics? And you will never be rich. You will struggle financially all your life. And that's why most people steal. They steal because they don't understand the difference between an asset and a liability. Don't know it. So they are impatient. The moment you get to know the difference, you start to plan. You start to plan. So I want to build businesses. So I'm building business because I know the business is an asset. And so if I build one business, it's an asset. I build another business, it's an asset. I build another business, an asset. If I'm able to build 20 businesses and all of them bring in revenue, they are all assets. But you got the same money, same opportunity, and you built a house. And once you built that house, that money was locked forever. And you start to work for salary all your life. And then it gets to a point where you are old, you become frustrated, you become bitter. Because you did not focus on building an asset. Life is about building assets. It's not liability. You are not in competition with anybody. Nobody is in competition with anybody. The money comes to you. How you use that money is your duty. We all have the same kind of, the basic asset we all have is the time, is the passion, is the talent, is the knowledge, the relationship that we have. We can use all of them to build the kind of life that we want. So don't deceive yourself thinking that the money is not important. It's very important, I'll tell you. So much crucially important that if you spend your life trying to build. The reason politicians are corrupt is that, when they needed to build something for themselves, they did not even know it. So when they got to be there, they started to steal because they were late. They are poor. If you see any man in a critical position stealing, it's because he's poor. He's poor. He's poor mentally. And you can have money and still be poor. Because you place the money above the people. When you understand asset and liability, you know that people are asset. People are asset. So you want to make decisions to preserve and to grow that asset. But a politician who was poor, came from a very poor. One of the most dangerous things is for you to elect a leader who is poor or who came from a very poor background and who never had anything major happen to him in terms of his philosophy. If he comes there, all his decisions will be a poor man's decision. So you do some things that are just, extravagant, because the poor believe in that. So it doesn't matter your profession. If you know the difference between asset and liability, it doesn't matter how much salary that you get. If you learn how to build an asset other than building liability, and you can have the patience, give yourself 10 years, 20 years. By the time that others are giving up, that's the time that you are warming up. By the time that others are waiting for salary increment, that's the time you have 20 million and you didn't steal that money. You built it with yourself. That's the time that you have 200 million. You may not even own a business, but you had a strategy. And you can live a lot, you can do a lot of good, you can live a lot for your children, you can do a lot of good because you had a plan. And that's what we all have to do. And the earlier that we get that kind of knowledge and practice them, the better. Than partying. And just taking money to the stock market and mutual funds should not only be your number one strategy to creating wealth. It just should be a part, not the main thing. The main thing is you controlling, having the money and controlling yourself, knowing where the money should go to grow and bring benefit and bring multiplication to you. But if all your money is in the stock market, they make the decision and tell you that they made this, they had this. No. You are not using your mind if your only strategy is the stock market. You don't have financial knowledge. If your only strategy to grow money is the stock market, you don't have a skill. Just go and buy the shares and they just give you something. That's all. You want to grow your financial muscle, your financial knowledge, you have to practice it yourself. And one of the best ways is start to trade. Start to build a business. Start to build an investment. You start to increase your financial skill, your financial knowledge. You have control. You have predictability. You can mop up some things. You can plan. But if all my strategy is I get money, I go and buy treasury bills, I have no idea what money is. I have no plan. I cannot create wealth if that thing crashes. And that's why the footballers, we call them rich. No, they just work for salary. They are not rich. Their financial knowledge is weak. That's why most footballers, after they have been fired or after they have gone on retirement, people say that, oh, that guy was very rich, but now he has nothing. Because he only learned how to play football. He didn't grow his financial knowledge. No. Because until you start to practice with the money and build the financial knowledge practically, you are not building any asset. You're not building any asset. That's why you say that, oh, but he was a doctor now that when he went on retirement, he doesn't have anything. Because he only practiced as a doctor. He didn't build his financial assets. He didn't. And he did not build them himself. Because once you are building assets, one of the things that proves that you are building an asset is what knowledge you are acquiring, what skill you are acquiring in building the assets. You have to be involved. You don't just go and take money and go to the bank and say, I'm buying treasury bills and think that you have a good financial plan. You don't have any good financial plan. If anything happens, you cannot pick it up again. So it can complement the strategy, but it cannot be your only strategy. So you're a teacher. You said, oh, when I get something, I'll go and give it to this. And every day you are checking, it's growing, it's checking. It's a stock market, it can go down. But once you start to trade somewhere, build somewhere, maybe there's a cocoa farm, maybe there's a mango farm that you're building, maybe there's a cassava farm that you're building. You start to do something outside your so-called profession. You start to build a business, start to build maybe some houses for rent. Maybe you start to buy lands and start to sell it. Whatever that, it starts to, retune your mind. You start to understand money from a whole different point of view. And that's why you start to build the asset. So the rare asset is the financial knowledge, the financial skill, the financial understanding, the financial expertise that you have acquired yourself, which is unique to the lifestyle that you have. So there's nothing like that. And this one is independent of your profession. You can be a lawyer, you can be a judge, you can be a cleaner, you can be a footballer. It doesn't matter. Once you start to build your own financial knowledge, your financial skill, your financial expertise, they stay with you. And you can build empire gradually. And you'll be proud of yourself that you did not even steal. You just built it gradually because you had the right kind of knowledge. And you will not care whoever is stealing what, you don't care. Just continue to build yours. And every one of us can build something special. You just decide this is the kind of thing. Maybe you identify 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that you know that you can use. Tools instruments that you can use to build that asset, for the next 10, 20 years, for the rest of your life. And all of them start to bring you revenue, And for me, I've been trying business, so that's what I know. Maybe I enter some other areas, but that's what I know. And it's not been that easy. It's been very tough, very rough. But you get wise every day, and you continue to learn, and you continue to learn, and you're getting there, And so nobody. That's why the people who create wealth, who didn't steal, spent all their life building assets. Building assets. So build asset, and your asset could be your business, could be the investment that you owe, it could be the houses that you have built that you're renting. The house that you built that you live in is not part of it. The car that you are driving is not part of it. Sometimes even the school fees that you went to pay was a liability more than an asset. It was a liability because you spent 30,000 there, and when you finish the school, nobody wants to employ you. Even when they employ you, it didn't make any difference between you when the time that you had the first degree and the time that you had the second degree. There was no difference anyway. So you just happy yourself. So as Africans, one of the things that we don't know is that our financial knowledge is weak. That's why a lot of us are waiting for God to solve our financial problems. As a sign of people whose financial knowledge is very weak. So we are always praying and thinking that once you give money to church, your financial situation will change. That's a deception. Financial knowledge does not change because you give money to church. Church is a charity if you don't know. If you gave money to the SOS, do you think that your financial situation will change? No. So the pastors will create all kind of things and tell you, but you have been giving money in church for how many years now? Has your financial situation improved? Has it changed? Are you a millionaire? Are you a billionaire? Has it changed? It's just an obligation by joining an organization, Just a Christian, that's your part that you play. So you giving tithe is not going to make you rich. That's the fact. The people who are very rich in this world, they don't even give any tithe. It does not mean don't give tithe. Give your tithe, but don't think that giving the tithe will make you rich. That's a liability. That's a liability. That's a liability. And it's tough for you to tell the African that God is not responsible for your financial prosperity. You are responsible for your financial prosperity. You are responsible. Is God responsible for me wearing this shirt? No, I am. I wore this shirt today. So financial difficulties will come because we are weak in understanding what an asset is. We are weak in understanding what a liability is. So they control, and until you get this fact right. If you don't get this fight right, you'll be amazed when you get old. You'll still be struggling. I've seen people struggle all their lives for money, all their lives, and and I know. You see our parents, you see our uncles, you see our brothers, you see our friends, and it's not changing. It's not changing because we've not been told to build assets. We've just been told to just wait, and something will just happen and change situation. That's with Africa as well. So Africans have been told that one day, things will change. You'll be shocked. 10,000 years can come and things won't change. Because things only change when we change things. So if your financial knowledge is weak, you call things that are liability asset. And one of them will be when you build a house, you think your house is one of them. And you think that your education that you had is one of them. It's an asset, but not a financial asset. Even if you did accounting, it's not a financial asset. It's just one of those things. You're just proud of it. And you tell people, oh, I have this kind of degree. I have this. I have this. They don't mean anything. Okay? Until you are able to use them to build something. They don't mean anything. So your car that you have that you are very proud of, just a car. It deteriorates if you don't know. Tear and wear setting. Depreciation setting. It can never be an asset. It's a liability. An asset brings you inflow, positive. So the man who has little understanding and who has money can grow it because he understands what an asset is. The guy who has a very weak understanding financially has the same kind of money, 100,000. By the time that is 10 years, that 100,000 is gone. But the guy who knows what an asset is, 100,000, he'll grow it into 10 million in 10 years, or even less, because he knows what he's doing. He's able to build businesses, investments with that 100,000. Now, the weak man, when you give him 100,000, you go and buy a land. Go and buy a land. You go and marry with it. Go and buy a car. Because for him, that's an asset. It gives him prestige in society. But to the very rich, that 100,000 has to go and work. Has to go and build an asset. Has to go and do something that will start to bring money. So that 100,000, the next year will become 300,000. The next year will become 2 million. The next year will become 4 million. The next year will become 5 million. Because he knows the difference. He knows the difference. So you give him 100 Ghana. Or you give him 200 Ghana. The weak one will go and buy a phone. The one who knows what an asset is, that 200 Ghana, he starts to trade with it. He grows it. The next time you meet that boy, that 200 Ghana is now 10,000 Ghana. And he's opening a phone shop. He's opening a barbering shop. He's doing this because he knows what an asset is. So he's not ready to impress anybody. He's growing it. So the one who knows an asset, there's a parable in the Bible where he gave them talent. The one who understands an asset, multiply the talent. The one who didn't know, he did. He didn't even spend it, so that was a good thing at least. You should have bought maybe Land Cruiser with it. So sometimes our philosophy becomes a liability. And that philosophy is when you're waiting for people to make you rich. You're waiting God to make you rich. You're waiting for God. That's a liability. That's a liability. So thank you very much for watching, and remember that asset brings in money, and anything that is bringing money more than what it takes out is an asset. Anything that is taking money from you is a liability, and it takes a while for you to build an asset. So understand that it takes a while, and it calls for a very good structure, plan, before you be able to build something. It doesn't just happen. It's a whole project on its own. It's a life project for you to build assets that will make you financially free, and that will make you help people financially. It's a life project. It doesn't just happen, and you cannot just depend on your salary to become rich. If you believe that, you're a liar. If you believe that, you're ignorant. If you don't have any plan beyond your salary, you're just ignorant and thinking that you'll be rich your life. You're a liar. It's never true. Isn't it true? Have you worked for 10 years? Are you rich? Have you then not been increasing your salary? The problem is not the salary increment. The problem is the salary they gave you. What did you build with? Did you just go to build a house or buy a car? Or you started to multiply that money? You know, so that's how you kill poverty. You don't kill poverty by praying in church. Kill poverty by giving people financial wisdom, financial skill. And if they start to practice it, they become wealthy. They become wealthy. And one of the liabilities is people waiting for people to pray for them so that they'll be rich. It's a liability. Don't believe it. Take your own responsibility, build your own thing. And you see that you'll be wealthy. And if you give yourself 10, 20 years, 30 years, by the time that you get there, everything that you fidgeted with, everything that you tried with, they will start to make sense. And you build something significant. No matter what salary that you gave, you were given. If you have a plan, you build assets. I'm telling you. You build assets. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you.